Hello and welcome to Talking Bottom. So I'm Ange Johnson.
I'm Paul Tanter.
I'm Matt Brooks.
This is episode 6 of series 3 Carnival. Just to celebrate, we're all having a little bit of a drinky.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. The end of series 3.
The last ever TV episode.
Yeah,
right?
the last episode of Bottom. But we are going to continue after this and do the live shows, the film.
Are we doing the live shows in the film?
We've said it several times, but I'm sure we're still going to be asked. But here we are at Carnival, alongside Whole. Carnival's my favourite of series 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the better episodes of series 3. It's essentially a two-hander, isn't it, if you don't count the delivery man?
And they didn't, because he's not credited.
Oh, is he not?
No.
Right.
Doesn't get a credit.
It feels like there's a lot of people in it because they have the very bottom thing of just describing things happening. You know, very cheap way of doing it.
Right.
There's
A
a
lot
little
of
bit of
mentions.
lighting, a little bit of lighting and a bit of smoke in the air is all you need.
So sometimes when they begin an episode and they're describing something that has happened, I don't like it because it feels like a bit of a cheap way of, and then this happened and we get lost. I really like the opening scene of this because you feel like it's happening because of really good sound effects, people yelling, smashing glass, police sirens, plus, as you say, the orange sort of flickering glow effect that gives you the idea that Hammersmith is on fire.
And
you
also,
know?
this isn't them describing something that's happened. This is
It's in
something
real time.
happening.
It's happening before their eyes, and it gives that kind of energy to it, to
Yeah.
their performance as well as to the script.
Yeah,
Even you can really imagine everything going on right before
It's nice to see them both happy, and it's weird that they're this happy about something so horrible.
as it gets revealed, is it? Because it's quite early. You know, you realise what's going on. There's a riot kicking off, but the fact that they call it the carnival, you know, it's like the annual Hammersmith riot. You know, it's a joy for them. They've got the best seats. They get to watch this carnage play out in front of them from the comfort of the flat, and then they can go looting. They're never happier.
Literally with the smoke of the fire wafting up to their flat window.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're cooking on it.
Yeah.
with marshmallows and toast, didn't they?
It's, you know,
Marmalade and
campfire
toast.
kind of campfire song kind of like that's how joyous they are.
It's like a campfire. It's a very good analogy.
I'd be interested to know about the plot for this one and how they've written it up.
So iTunes have written the plot as thus. The annual Hammersmith Carnival takes place, and the window of the Richie and Eddie's flat, that's what it says, on the window of the Richie and Eddie's flat is the prime place for viewing the ensuing activities and eventual riots. After a brief period of looting, they return to their flat with a BBC camera and a plan to make money from filming each other. That's just it. Plan to make money from filming each other.
Sounds dodgier than it is.
Yeah, literally from filming each other.
To
Definitely
say the
sounds dodgy.
BBC camera is part of the plot. That's not a plot detail. That's a
Well,
that's odd.
It sort of is, isn't it? But the fact that the videotape's in there is because it's a BBC camera, isn't it? I mean, it's not much of a plot to sum up, is it, really?
It's not much of a plot, but then this whole episode itself, it kind of has this weird passage of time through it, doesn't it? We leap a year in the story.
Skipping way ahead again.
No, I know, but no, we're just talking about it in general, you know.
Yeah, we're giving an overview.
Has there ever been a humorous look at a riot in any other media, any story sort of thing?
I don't think a humorous one. You know
what I mean?
As they were commenting on it, it put me in mind that this is sort of slightly prescient of the riots of 2011, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
they are describing a completely made up, over the top riot that couldn't possibly happen, but that was then. And now there's something that they present as very cartoony and this can never happen, but unfortunately can now happen when the Nazis turn up.
I would say, though, that... I mean, I know exactly what you mean in terms of the political hotbed that they maybe are describing, but, I mean, Rick and Eddie will have lived through, like, the Toxteth riots,
Brixton
the 80s
riots. Yeah, yeah.
There definitely were riots preceding the 90s that maybe aren't described in this comical, cartoonish, kind of outlandish manner in terms of what they're throwing through windows and ram raiding like the off licenses and all that kind of thing by the primary school.
Well,
but it's played for laughs because it is grounded in reality.
Yeah. A lot of the things that they describe ended up being similar to things that did happen in 2011.
It hits home even more now,
Yeah.
the rewatch, doesn't it? That actually... It did all kick off. It was around London and Liverpool again and all over. Like,
McDonald's got smashed in, didn't it?
but most of the people just went looting.
You know, school kids, 13 and 14-year-olds went looting.
So the joyous way in which we open this episode and the fun that they're having watching violence.
They are taking so much joy from it, aren't they?
Absolute chaos that's ensuing in front of them. But that's what Richie and Eddie feed off, don't they? They feed off the chaos of violence, and like, so it's such a perfect opening for Richie and Eddie.
Schadenfreude that they're getting from all these little things. I love the very tiny detail of just mentioning Dick. The dickheads from the bar.
Yeah.
Throwing them out,
They just say Dick. And the world is so established now that that's not something that needed to make up.
Yes,
yeah, and they mentioned Fatty Amal, and we've obviously already had Amal, but we learn his first name's Fatty, and the insurance scam that he's going through
every year.
Yeah. It's world building, isn't it? Like last week's episode.
Spudgun is the captain of the
Hammersmith Spud You Like Irregulars Second 11 or whatever.
That's right. He's the captain.
In a way, because it's the very last episode of Series 3. Obviously, at the time of them writing it, they must have been thinking of a Series 4, because we know that they were. So they weren't necessarily thinking, this is the last episode of Bottom we'll ever write. But in hindsight, now watching it, like, I just think it is a perfect example of their world, because you have the ram raiding, you've got Eddie just being obsessed with getting free booze, and you've got Richie with a bit of a stupid but dastardly scheme to get rich. I think this episode does sum up a lot of what encapsulates Richie and Eddie throughout all 3 series, and therefore that's why it's one of my favourites. In a similar way to the two-hander element of Whole, I think Carnival really does show what their relationship to each other is and what they find exciting in their mundane lives, because a carnival / riot kicking off right outside their house is not anything that happens every day, that happens every year, and they look forward to it because it's entertainment to them.
That sounds like, it's going to be a big plot. There's a riot happening outside. No, not at all.
They're still in the flat. They're still trapped. They're still in there. They're still, they're not stupid. They're not going to get involved.
Well, they do both take advantage of it, obviously. So Eddie, to further his alcohol habit, obviously goes out and steals the crates of Malibu. Richie manages to get hold of a BBC camera, both of which they then use to further the plot, of course.
Yeah, it's not just a gag.
And again, it brings up the comment on the video accidents. They've done that before. Like, I could, when I think we looked at Terror and a few others, we were like, oh, they've done this kind of thing before. They've mentioned it before. But in Carnival, it doesn't feel like a tired reference going back to those sort of things. So the idea of the video nasties, the video accidents, and
also it's a bit
how
of
to make money out of that.
It's a bit of a callback to the Dangerous Brothers as well, isn't it? Eddie being set on fire.
Really big fucking flames as well. Yeah. Now, when they're at the window, this is because of how often I've watched Bottom Fluff. I can't help but think of all the alternative takes that Aid does.
There's 3 different takes of someone being thrown through Curry's window.
So first, he ends with Aswad, doesn't he? That's the one they use actually in the show. But what are the other 2?
The other 2, policeman and a nun.
A nun, right. I think a nun might have been funnier, but I don't know.
What is Aswad?
Aswad's a reggae group, British reggae group.
What were they doing at the Hammersmith riots?
Maybe they were there to perform their one-hit song, which was "Shine, Shine Like a Star."
Seems like it's ad-libbed because, of course, the first, because Rick fucks up, and if you've seen the Bottom Fluff, Rick fucks up at the very end of that sequence
because he can't find the balaclava.
That's right. So they have to reshoot it. So then he obviously has first said policeman, and then he's gone to nun
because he wants to keep the gag fresh to keep people laughing.
And he wants to top it each time.
But
then Aswad really does top it.
It gets a good laugh, doesn't it?
It really does.
It gets such a good laugh that it made me wonder if, when they came out at the beginning and did the warm-up, did Aswad get mentioned? Because sometimes comedy shows do this. You'll see, like, a talk show will do it. They'll make a joke and then they'll be like, and then they'll reference the audience, and you would be like, oh, you made a joke about that in the warm-up.
There's a callback there that we're not in on. It does seem like a huge response, but because I'm not sure whether Aswad were that big at that particular moment in time.
I mean, they were very much of the 90s, and their song "Shine, Shine Like a Star."
Everyone would have known it, but it's...
My God, so I'm not aware of them. Doesn't that sound fucking shit? A British reggae.
Well, you're not meant to be aware of them. If you weren't.
There's a character mentioned which I wish we got to see. It's Father O'Malley,
right,
with a shotgun, naked, drunk off his head.
Dispensing the word of God.
Did you notice that Richie seems to be very excited and then very upset when the Nazis arrive and leave?
Right.
It seems like that happens every year, and I guess it's not that he's pro-Nazi at all. It's not played like that, but he's just like, oh, the Nazis are here. That'll kick things off.
That'll ramp up the violence to the next level.
And Richie's like, oh, they're gone. Isn't it, when they've gone? Because they obviously in previous years have seen it kick off much more when they're involved, which would make sense. And then obviously it's very telling. Almost again that sort of either one of them could have said this line, but Aid is the one, Eddie, who says, that's what I love about Britain, tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to let the Germans do this sort of thing
we're
for
so much
us.
better at this.
He's in cahoots with Richie's train of thought there completely, whereas in the past you might have had Eddie being like, well, hang on, Richie, like that's not okay, but they're both completely...
I love it when they're on the same side and getting on.
They're completely in agreement over that.
In series 1, Richie would have been the one saying that, and Eddie would have been going, well, what's so great about, etc.
You sound like Zippy there.
What was so great about the Blitz? Yeah, exactly. But I do love that it is Eddie that says it and it's Richie agreeing.
Yeah.
I can see why they put it in Eddie's mouth on this particular occasion, because they're both really, really happy and excited. In terms of when the last time London was ablaze for them at that point, apart from the Brixton riots, like the Blitz.
It was the war.
But the idea of finding that exciting, to be celebrating the fact that...
Because they're safe as well,
British are doing it. Yeah. No, it's completely just part of Richie and Eddie's outlook, isn't it?
The Hammersmith riot, the annual Hammersmith Carnival / riot, seems to be the focal point for all of the underclass that live in the bottom world of Hammersmith, you know?
So it's some sort of actual carnival with floats
and
things,
but
then... Because of rivalry and everyone in there will being violent hooligans.
It's an excuse for everyone. Everyone knows what's going to happen. So we'll go to the carnival.
Last year how many years do you think this has happened?
Like every year for like the last 20 years.
20 years, okay.
That's the world they're painting of Hammersmith, isn't it? The fact that the primary school kids are in on it.
It's another mention of ram raiding and off license, like third time in this series.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's the third time it's mentioned, but I think as part of the bottom universe, obviously this episode is where it's completely and utterly valid to be describing. And then the reveal of the fact Eddie's already been there. You almost wonder whether Eddie did it prior to the riot kicking off because he knew that it would be looted later. He's timed it so he actually gets the off license before anyone else has a chance.
I reckon he got in just at the beginning of the riot, just as it kicks off. He knows the exact sweet spot to launch his plan. It kicks off, gets right in there because he's got to do a lot of carrying up the stairs as well.
Very close to it because they can see it from the flat. Yeah. So that makes sense.
And there's a lot of boxes to get back up there.
Yeah, because last week he only grabbed a couple of cans worth, really, didn't he? Whereas he's grabbed case after case after case.
Yeah, so
what's he used?
Well, then maybe he did it while they were shut. Because, he couldn't have done that in one trip and you couldn't go back. Well, we're trying to put logic here in something.
It's complete hyperbole, isn't it?
But
he's stolen that many.
How many boxes is there that he's stolen?
It's 100 and something. Is this going to be a quiz question?
Is a quiz
question. Oh, right, sorry. No, because I was going to say, even if you assume he's carrying 2 at a time, that's like 50 trips.
Off they go to loot Curry's once the window's been smashed open. So they drop the TV on the way back that Richie was talking about. He's describing like a really high-tech TV that's probably dated as fuck now.
Yeah, like listening to it now, you're sort of like, Cam.
What are you talking about? It's got teletext.
Yeah.
Does he say that?
I think one of the things is teletext.
Wow. Pre-internet, I always thought of like a blueprint for the internet.
But now it would be, I don't even know, HD, God knows what else, Blu-ray or whatever. It was just at the time a load of bollocks that no one knows what it means.
Back then, the words NICAM, I still wasn't entirely sure what it was, but NICAM digital stereo was guaranteed supposed to sound impressive for any television.
I love the rubber ducky jokes.
It's
so silly.
Eddie gets so logical there. This is the difference between Series 3 Eddie and Series 1 Eddie. Series 1 Eddie would have probably been very serious and had no truck with it. Series 3 Eddie is logical to the point of childish innocence. Every question does have a logical answer, which is not the one that Richie wants that frustrates him. Eddie's so happy with it as well.
Yeah.
But so were Curry's actually giving out rubber ducks? As a free gift with it, I think
it's a joke on the fact that you did used to get crap free gifts with expensive purchases, didn't you?
They revert to old women and have a little natter, pretty quick, don't they? I don't know, it just seemed it's a bit weird to me. It seems like they're playing up to someone.
Another bit of flight of fantasy, really, isn't it, between the two of them?
Right, now, bear in mind, this is Series 3, so they've done the live show. This little bit where they essentially morph into old ladies doing an Alan Bennett sketch, it feels like something they would have done in the live shows.
It feels like something from Bottom Live 1.
I've always got it confused between Bottom Live 1 and this episode, because I think there is a very similar dialogue. They are describing when they're putting the kettle on and all that sort of thing. They're doing like a cup of tea and shall I be motherfucker?
That's it.
So it's an extension of maybe what they were planning at that point, or they just think, we'll just put in another bit. Because it is funny that they're describing the aftermath of a riot. The voice of the old biddies.
Is a bit, yeah. Series 3 was the series where they did, again, because it came after the live show, where anything they'd done in the live shows you would recognise instantly as they've taken that. The teeth spitting out. Seeing them do that, again, almost with the same voices of the Alan Bennett-esque old ladies.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because it's not in the live show, but the tea being a solid reminds me of the live show as well.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I think it's because they're discussing making a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a crap prop, isn't it? But
It's a good reveal.
I think it's quite good.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it's literally solidified.
But not only has it solidified, it's been there so long that it's stuck to the saucer and the table retrospectively.
What do they make their tea out of that it doesn't just evaporate into the air? That it turns into it goes from a viscous thing to a solid?
Maybe the milk was already like yogurt.
Oh, God, yeah. Terrible.
You've been making tea with concrete again.
It does add to then the change from Eddie when he obviously goes from I wanted to loot a couple of pounds of broccoli florets and all that, and then just suddenly into the very deep.
He's clocked
We've
subconsciously.
been
Subconsciously he's clocked that they're not there. He's doing the tea, but then he breaks character.
It's the same noticing something off camera and then reacting to it that he did when they were in the pub and he noticed the lamb and flag quiz sign, wasn't it?
That entire bit of dialogue for me is just pure poetry. We've been burgled, and then Richie's response line is,
That
you
is
might have been,
so
young
clever.
man, but I have never in my life. As a Christian, I'm so tightly clenched.
Yes.
That is my favourite line in All About Him.
That's not an obvious joke at all. Mishearing and misunderstanding.
Burgled and buggered. Would we've been burgled be in any way a euphemism that Richie might... literally saying burgled might mean I've been
burgled
bombed.
is a euphemism.
Yeah.
You ever see With No Lie? I mean to have you even if it must be burglary.
Well, that means rape, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's still the same thing. It's
But that's
burglary.
what Richie's saying. He's saying, as a Christian, his arsehole is so tightly clenched he could not be anally raped.
It's like a vice. You'll never get it in.
Now, Eddie gets absolutely furious that all of these cases of Malibu have been taken, but then he kind of consoles himself by saying, if I don't have another 30-odd upstairs, I'd be really angry. Well, how do you know they've not been nicked as well? You've not checked yet.
Yeah.
I agree, but I think Eddie is confident in the fact that he's obviously concealed them somewhere, hasn't he?
Why have they not nicked anything else? The TV's still there. All the furniture's still there.
Everything else in the house is shit, isn't it?
Not worth it.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably the most obvious. If you went in there and then, look, there's a bunch of cases of something that's easy to flog and drink and whatever.
I mean, everyone's looting, aren't they? So they could get a free telly with the telly that they're looting from somewhere else.
You would be gutted though, wouldn't you? If you went out, you went through the risk of going out into a riot, nicking stuff, so you're risking A, not only being beaten up, B, being burned, and C, the police arresting you. You get your stuff back, go out looting a bit more, and some cunt has fucking why don't you just go to the off license yourself and steal a load of other stuff, you bastard?
Well, you can't because he's already been there. I think he's not done it dry because he's only got Malibu.
Unless someone knows Eddie was there this morning and they've been there.
Spud Gun's come around and nicked it,
Someone else knows it's there.
Yeah.
That would be an explanation.
All of that Malibu right now is being drunk by Spud Gun and Dave Hedgehog.
Possibly.
Do you think they'd nick them off their mate? Because he'd probably share it with them
They're both
if he didn't get through it first.
They're both alcoholics. They'll do anything.
Malibu, though.
I think it's all fair
That is
game.
one of the greatest jokes in Bottom, isn't it?
They have
Malibu
Malibu
is their drink of choice.
Cause it's
for Eddie, though, it doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm. Well, why isn't it? Because it's so wrong.
Sun-kissed and exotic.
Yeah.
It's like he wants to be on this beach with dusky maidens and he thinks he can taste it in a bottle of Malibu.
That's very true. Maybe. Have you had Malibu? I'm sure you have.
I think it's rum, right?
Do you know? Yeah, it's a really sweet.
It's sickly
really
sweet.
Really sweet rum. I used to have it with full fat Coke. Yeah, definitely still just 17 or whatever. And I think probably influenced a little bit by Bottom. Like, I'll have a Malibu and Coke.
Yeah. Eddie's MP, who he mistakes for a woman, is Tony Blair.
Who was MP for Sunderland, I think.
At
that point, yeah.
At that time, not Prime Minister. So that dates the show quite a bit.
Was he Labour leader at this point? Because if he wasn't, this was quite fortunate for the show in that they managed to get an MP that people would still know who they were many years later.
Do you think they knew, though? Because obviously Tony must have been quite prominent in the news still at that point. Because it was, 95?
Okay, but if he wasn't Labour leader, they wouldn't have known that Michael Foot was going to die soon, and therefore Tony Blair would take over.
Wow, mystical forces. But again, why is Eddie gay?
No, but he's not, because that's a woman.
She's not.
And then she is.
In addition to fancying Tony Blair, we get another of Eddie's sexual fantasies. So I think it's this week that we get Sharon Stone painted green. Yeah.
Vacuum packed.
With a copy of the Racing Post sticking out of her bum.
So presumably rolled up.
Yeah, must be.
And this is so he can have his way with it, and then afterwards just pop it out and then have a read of the racing results.
Fancy just then be able to do that.
But if it's sticking out of a bum, it's going to pierce the vacuum packing.
All right, so
depressurize.
Maybe it's inside the vacuum packing.
So he's got serial killer like though, isn't it? Vacuum packed is the creepiest bit. Painted green as well. I mean, I can understand
that's normal.
Like an Orion slave girl.
She-Hulk or something. Richie has a really weird reaction to that, where he's angry about how turned on he becomes with Eddie mentioning this to him. I'm not going to be able to sleep all night, and then he's like, he says a few politicians' names to make his dick go down.
Yes.
John Perwin-Gower, Kenneth
Clark, who's still an MP, and John Selwyn-Gummer.
Something that is a bit sci-fi. Richie's penis is so small that it creates so much space in his trousers, it becomes like a TARDIS.
So you can fit a very large BBC 90s style camera down there.
You shouldn't be able to fit in a pair of trousers anyway.
I do love that cut that's so clearly to obviously give it a much huger pair of trousers to withdraw it from.
I mean, it's so ludicrous, it's comedic. I do actually love that bit as well.
Yeah, and the reveal that it's the BBC camera and now it's that lovely old logo.
Yeah.
Whereas at the time,
the one
that was
with the
just
three
a camera.
The one with the 3 coloured stripes underneath the bottom of it.
I think it doesn't have the colour on it, but it is the old font.
I think it does. It's got a red, green, and it's that logo that was in front of the episodes on the VHS.
Yeah, any start of Red Dwarf or Bottom. Yeah, that logo. So that's quite nice, like little nostalgic thing to see some old school BBC logoage in there. Do you think it's sort of a bit too obvious that they're doing that when on the BBC though? Like it's a bit self-aggrandising of the BBC to have it be a BBC camera that they steal, or do you think it's just they've got a BBC camera, so why not?
It didn't need to be a BBC camera, did it? It could just be a camera. But I suppose because they got it out of a truck, so it's a TV crew that are about. Yeah. It's not from Curry's.
They probably wouldn't be able to reference or show a logo of ITV or Channel 4.
And they wouldn't, would they?
And they wouldn't want to make up one, because then you're into building of a world that is too fantastical.
Same thing, you can't have a Sony logo and stuff. A BBC logo is fair game for them. Yeah, so maybe it's just something like that.
Am I right in thinking Kilroy was on ITV though?
No, I thought... No. Kilroy was BBC. At the time, the place for John Stapleton was ITV.
Okay, so Kilroy was a BBC...
I'm pretty sure it was, Okay.
It's weird that they're on the same...
It was Shaft or Be Shafted, that horrible show that he did that was on ITV, wasn't it?
Oh,
I don't know that at all. Isn't it weird that Richie and Eddie share the view that he's the sexiest man on TV?
Yeah.
It's a bit like how they like Des Lynam, something like of the older, knowledgeable statesman or something.
Yeah, they've got an older man fetish. Yeah. Neither of them know their dad.
So
that's true.
With what we can call the Kilroy bit, when Richie comes down the stairs, that for me is made entirely by the brief look on his face as he starts to slip.
Genuine fear.
Yeah,
or he sticks his front teeth out, like he's got a kind of a goofy look.
Yeah.
It's the great comic timing of the build-up as well. Like, should traffic wardens be armed? Which is the sort of topic that obviously it's ludicrous, but it's great in and of itself. And then you're going with him, aren't you? Because it's that opening, you think, okay, what's he going to say next? And you're totally with him, and they're trying to like be all serious, and then suddenly it's Rick's amazing falling face and the dedication he gives to that fall, and
comes down, does give it a lot of gusto. Although I will say, for the main part of the fall, and also then when he's upside down in the toilet, that's a stuntman.
Yeah, I think so.
The jeans are a slightly different shade. Blue.
You can even use the same jeans.
No. Rick's a very sort of dark navy blue.
Yeah.
Which, the stuntman's ones are a bit lighter. Also, when he's upside down, kicking his feet up, he's obviously thinner than Rick Mail was at the time.
See.
Rick's very sweaty in this episode. He was obviously a bit bigger in series 3.
Now, I'd never really noticed that it wasn't his legs in the toilet, his body in the toilet. I've always thought that is Rick. I knew the actual dangerous bit of falling down the stairs wasn't him. But you're right, like to propel yourself upwards and be kicking your legs is actually quite a physical.
What a good impression the stuntman does of Rick's voice then. That's really well done. Very clever.
That's really well done in terms of the Foley, because it does sound like his head's down a toilet.
Now, Richie's plan was a bit different before he does the Kilroy thing. He just says, we're going to make our own movies, get famous, then we'll have a pick of the birds. And then when Eddie's like, oh, okay, well, my plan is actually to make a primetime current affairs program. So you just said you're going to make movies. And what do you mean you're going to make a primetime show? You don't have control of where it's shown. That's like when ignorant people say, I'm going to make a viral video. So,
Right,
no, you're going to make a video and you want it to go viral.
No, he's just saying I'm going to make a current affairs programme. Because he, obviously watching television in the mornings, Kilroy and the like, he thinks they're the epitome of suave, sophisticated men who are getting all the birds. Which, of course, they're not. But that's his fiendish plan. I have to just say, like, in terms of, like, comparisons to politicians, when he pulls his head out of that toilet, he looks like Trump.
He does, with the hair,
now, watching it now, it's absolutely Trump's hair.
He's got bits of poo in his face as well.
Yeah, that absolutely helps make him look the orange kind of lovely hue.
He's got a sort of stained face. His hair is that weird sort of like shredded wheat flipped over thing, and he's wearing a suit that's slightly too big for him.
But that single moment of Rick falling down the stairs and into the toilet, I think, like, me and my mates have rewound that so many times.
There's a callback as well, because when he's in the toilet, he says, "Why, you bastard, not flushing the toilet?" Earlier, Eddie misunderstands. Oh, here come the floats here, or the floats still here. It's like, oh, I thought I flushed them, but then it turns, no, you didn't flush the toilet.
The shit's been sitting there festering. When Richie says this is the 80s, I think we get one of Aid's best looks to camera. It's one that's become a bit of a meme in its own right, but he properly plays it up to camera.
Now, I've got a friend that was in a band called Andog. It was a bottom reference.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
fantastic.
were shit. I think
still one of your friends?
He listens to the podcast. He will agree with me completely. The one gig, as far as I know, they did a couple of gigs, but the one gig I saw them do ended with the main singer pissed out of his head just singing Oasis songs.
Right. One thing I do love about this bit where they are talking about the kind of things they would do for the video show with Andog on and Skateboard is it is a proper accurate piss take of, at the time you had things like Beatles, not Beatles about, but the thing that Harry Hill now has.
You've Been Framed.
You've Been Framed. Then on Sky you had Chris Tarrant had a shitty version of this as well. And a lot of these were filled out with crap like dogs on fucking skateboards, dogs wearing sunglasses on skateboards.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And someone accidentally falls over a bit at a wedding.
And so much of it was someone at a wedding fainting or falling over.
And not at all funny.
Toddlers falling off trikes.
Pa!
I love how they both say "pa" together on that as well, because it is shit. But I love how they've preempted the YouTube phenomenon. That is, and well, to a certain extent, like shows like Jackass.
Have you noticed, for whatever reason, You've Been Framed didn't raise their prices with inflation?
No, it was always
250 quid. Which was a lot of money back in the day. Now
it was.
It's not
My
much.
dad tried to set one up. With my brother, like just literally, it sounds really pedo, but he was like in a waterfall thing in like a swimming pool.
Oh no, your trunks have come off.
And it was
no, really?
Honestly.
Oh god.
I don't know if we sent it in because I don't think it quite worked, but literally it was like one of these really fake waterfall things in the swimming pool. And anyway, like my dad, like I remember just vividly, because I must have been about 11 or whatever, my brother was like 14. And my dad's repeatedly trying to film my brother's arse become revealed by this waterfall. We didn't get our 250 quid. I don't think we ever sent it in. My mum forbade it.
Beeeadle once presented
an adult one.
You've Been Framed late.
Yes.
Everyone watched it or taped it thinking, oh, there's going to be some bikinis coming off. Nothing.
Nothing
like.
What was in it? Penis in it. I remember someone's trousers falling down.
Good. There's a penis. I want boobs.
You still had a wank.
When I was young, so yes. My dad had to help me.
So what was it then?
Well, from what I remember, it was a guy holding a box or something, just having his hands full, but then his trousers falling down, but with his dick out.
The sequence where they are going through the staged accidents, great cartoon violence with all of that dart in the eye. The flames leap up Aid so high, and him jumping through the conservatory in the same shot shows his commitment to the show.
He's not reacting to the fire, is he?
Right.
This is good.
You've got that area where you've presumably got flame retardant materials underneath it.
He's arching back, I think.
He does lean back.
Those flames come up like 2 feet, nearly licking his chin, and he still performs really well, and then does the stunt jumping through it. Really made me think of the Dangerous Brothers.
Yes, there's no reason that he had to be a housewife for that to happen, and I didn't pick up on this until watching it now. He's got hair curlers on a bald head.
Sort of giving
great detail.
It's giving him the appearance of having hair somehow. He plays it really casual and nonchalant, which if you were doing that and you had those flames licking up your chest and the heat on your face, most people would try to get through it as quick as possible.
As you say though, Aid and Rick have been doing that kind of stunt since the Dangerous Brothers, so they're obviously well aware of what needs to come from their performance to
Yeah.
carry it off.
But for
Full
him-
props to Aid for that.
For him to still to do the fire and
Yeah.
then jump through the conservatory in the same
You
shot.
can just imagine there's a team of safety people came
Yeah.
with fire extinguishers right after.
But also the director would be like, don't fuck it up. We've got one chance at this. We've got
Yeah.
one conservatory.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
And I mean,
okay?
do you think they almost were like, this is the BAFTA? Like, you know,
Yeah.
this has to be the one shot.
Now, Richie plays a very good cliche of a pretentious wanker director
Yeah,
with his
yeah.
Oh,
action, with his fingers and
Love
stuff,
it.
and yeah, giving no direction
Right,
at all.
yeah. But-
Just
yeah,
saying, "Oh, we're going to BAFTA for
just
this."
love the try to enjoy it, Eddie.
But you're right. He plays it so well because, like, on the one hand, he's doing the smarmy, "Oh, aren't we? This is all wonderful. We're going to win awards," and then flipping on a sixpence to the right. I'm a total bastard now, and I
Yeah.
hate you, you fucking diva.
And that he's trying to pretend that this is all genuine and an actual accident, but yet
Yeah.
he comes in to the shot and, well, I'm not meant to be here. So what does he say?
You're losing the audience
Yeah.
with the match because he has to bring the matches in, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
and then gives us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the makeup, right, the smoke after, right. So when we go afterwards, and Eddie's got the
it's
cuts on
still
his face.
smouldering. The wound, the dark wound, looks great. Really good.
It kind of had me in mind of the time when they did where he went through the conservatory in the burglary episode, and he's got the cut on his head.
Yes.
But this had like cuts, grazes. You've got the smoke still coming off him. I thought that was like great attention to detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is good. It looks really good, but Eddie does say back to casualty, hinting that they've been to casualty.
Oh,
Why is
yeah.
he still smouldering?
You know what?
Literally still
Oh,
smouldering.
but I forgive them for that because that line's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like we're going to have to go again, and then the
Yeah.
double meaning of what
Yeah,
he
yeah.
means by that in terms of film it again, and then what
Yeah.
back
So
to
it's-
casualty.
So it's basically the same joke twice that they do with Eddie hadn't switched the camera on when Eddie fell down, and then Richie hadn't put the tape in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, when Richie's done it, it's
Does
the
set
way
it up.
plays out.
It's a plot point because they need to talk about the tape. And so I've got the tape.
Love his switch between like, you know, I cried and all that, and
Yeah.
then just like, come on, time is money, darling, get back
Yes,
on your feet.
yes.
Yeah.
He's not,
Like,
that's
again,
his
like
real-
carrying through that. I mean,
that's
do you think
really
Ed By was a bit, or Bob Spears were a bit like, oh, is that how we direct? And I think with that, it's time for a word from our sponsor.
What would you like to drink, darling?
Oh, I'd love a baby sham.
Hey, I'd love a baby sham.
Baby sham.
What do you guys think of the passage of time over the year of Eddie
Actually
setting up
love
the
it.
video camera?
I love
I
it.
think even though it shouldn't work, should
Yeah.
it? Because it's Rick and Aid, they play it so well.
Yeah.
Richie coming in with the maracas and the sombrero,
Yeah.
Like-
we can have a Christmas episode briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Usually, I kind of don't like the we'd use a musical sting to get from one bit to another. In this instance, I really do like it. You get a week later, then Christmas, and then Richie returning from holiday, thus completing a full year since the carnival, and then an hour later, our first ever on-screen text card in bottom telling us 1 hour later.
Oh, okay.
And it's because they sell it so well, obviously, in terms of like Aid, sort of like,
Yeah.
oh, well, whitewash.
Why
And,
not?
and then the
Yeah.
reading the instructions.
Oh.
Everyone who's anyone in the 90s
Yeah.
certainly knows what agony it is to have to set up a video.
Do you know what he reads in German?
Oh, what does
I
it
thought it
say?
was
What is it?
Dutch.
Stick
Is it
einem
German?
Kopf in den Huten?
Right.
So what does it mean?
It says stick, right? So
Yeah.
stick. Einem Kopf, your head, and then I think the last bit is basically in your
another?
ass.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you head up your ass. Richie comes back from holiday wearing a sombrero with a pinata, so we assume he's been to Mexico.
Yeah.
How did he afford?
Oh no, Spain. No.
No, the Mexico. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover things. Pinatas is Mexican. It's not Spanish.
And the sombrero
Was
is
it a pinata
Mexican.
or was it a straw donkey? Because isn't that the classic thing that a Brit brings back from Spain? They bring
Oh, I
back a
thought it
straw
was a
donkey.
pinata, maybe it's
But
a
then he's got
stri-
maracas.
You're
Or he's
right.
singing
That's-
about maracas.
Well, either way,
We're just showing up our own ignorance
Yeah,
here, aren't
yeah.
we? But I think
Nah,
he would have
nah, it's
only really
definitely
have
Spain, mate.
afforded to go to Spain.
Right.
yeah, but still going on your own on holiday. That's something with very Richie, I suppose. Eddie wouldn't want to go with him, but he was
I
busy.
presume he
was
might have
working
booked,
on
but
the-
Eddie's like, oh, I've got to finish the video.
Yeah, sure. It's like,
Yeah.
can't you have a week off from the video? No, I
Nah.
obviously
He'd
have
probably
to have it
rather have a
ready.
week fixing the video
Well,
rather than
once a
spending
week.
it with Richie.
Yeah.
What would Richie seems to come back in good spirits.
Yeah.
What now? I would
He had a
imagine.
good holiday then. You
Yeah,
think?
but I would imagine any holiday he goes on, he's
Yeah.
going to chase women and get his
Sure.
bollocks
It's
kicked
like
in.
it's a
Do you think
missing
he got
episode.
laid? Because he comes in saying he rackled his maracas close to me.
He definitely say no, he didn't get laid.
But you think he danced with the bloke?
I think he's just singing a song.
He's so happy.
Double entendre in it. I do think that's like a missing episode. I would have liked to see Richie on holiday on his own.
I don't know though. I think you say that, but then it might just turn out to be a bit like Finger.
Something I didn't connect till this time watching it. They pay the delivery man with a crate of Malibu instead of cash.
Yeah.
Why has Eddie still got a crate of Malibu a year later when he didn't think he thought it would last him to the weekend? The hundreds of cases. You know,
That's
been
a good
busy
point.
setting up the video. I don't know. Maybe he's been sober.
Also,
trying to sort it out.
Why give him something, right? If it's a valuable commodity to you, why give him something that you're then going to break when you do the
absolutely.
trapdoor
I
thing?
thought that.
Yeah.
Oh, the lever's funny. Just it being a literal lever that they...
Which you notice earlier on is just there on the wall.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I didn't
And
notice
they're
that.
kind of snickering to each
Yeah,
other.
because
Very
obviously
reminiscent
they've
of
done
almost like, the two old blokes in the Muppets or something, isn't it? Like that real kind of like, ha 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 ha,
Or the
dastardly
gits
kind of like
from
laugh.
Harry
Yeah,
Enfield.
it's like the old gits, yeah, definitely.
John Major video.
Yeah, so they say the Prime Minister. They never say John Major.
But
so watching it back later, I pictured Tony Blair doing
really?
that stuff, even though he's mentioned before. But no, it is meant to be John Major because he kind of does an impression of him.
He does the impression of John Major, definitely.
It's Eddie's impression of John Major is enough to tell you that's who he's doing an impression of.
Yeah, and in 1990, when did this go out? 95?
95.
John Major was still in power.
Did they ever say the gender of the Prime Minister? Because could you watch it thinking it's Theresa May?
You could easily imagine it if you didn't know the context of the timing, but because it's a bloke, because it's a woman that comes in, it must be his.
Also, they talk about his Todger,
his Amity, his Todger, and that.
This works even more because at the time John Major was very much the grey man of politics. Everyone thought he was very boring. Yeah. No one knew about Edwina Currie and his affair at this point.
Yes.
So therefore, what you've got is the double thing of this is the one person you never expected.
Can you imagine John Major doing this? Why don't they recognise a dildo? The thing is some sort of model of a moon rocket.
It's all part of that joyous reveal, isn't it, through the dialogue and what they're watching, and as they it slowly dawns on them and us, but we obviously are ahead of them, what they're describing. Sure. And it's just, it starts off so innocent, doesn't it? It's like, oh, it must be his mummy.
Yeah, what's that?
And then
I wish I had a mum like that. I don't wish that at all. That just shows
Richie all over, isn't it?
Richie will take it from wherever he can get it, even if it's a member of his own family.
Yeah, that one little line from Richie really sums him up, doesn't it? Just like he's so desperate. He's like, I wish I had a mum like
He sounds really sad and poignant when he says that.
Yeah.
Like this is a summation of all of the loneliness of his entire life.
It's not like he had a mum at all. So it's like, maybe if I had a mum, she'd have given me a blowjob.
I don't know about sad. It is so pervy.
So their first thought is blackmail, which, to be honest, is probably a lot of people's first thought if you found a sex tape of someone powerful and famous.
Just to go back to, so the reason for it being a BBC camera is presumably because that tape is from that camera, isn't it? It's got mixed up or whatever, and they haven't realised.
So they've been investigating a weird sex den that politicians have been going to, you think, maybe, and then went off to the riot.
It's definitely like it's something that's been, because a year's gone by, hasn't it?
Yes.
So you sort of wonder, well, why are the SAS so hot on this? But as soon as they ring up and say we're going to blackmail the Prime Minister, it's like they're ready, aren't they?
Yes.
So
they've been waiting for this because that tape's been out for a year.
So my question here is, John Major, the Prime Minister, was he aware of the camera recording him? Because it's a big camera, it's not subtle.
Yeah.
What is it? Something he set up to record himself
It's
as a
his
sex
bedroom,
tape,
isn't it? Yeah.
Or did the BBC do a sting and set it up secretly somehow? Maybe it was behind like a two-way mirror or something like that. So they either knew the women involved or they hired these prostitutes or something like that. Maybe one of them was a reporter. Maybe one of them was Laura Kunsberg or something like that. Or, a very young Laura Kunsberg.
Well,
who's Laura Kunsberg?
She's the political editor of the BBC. Maybe one of them was Maurice Stewart.
Say someone who's dead. But yeah, maybe one of them was that.
When Richie has the idea to blackmail someone, he picks up the phone and dials a number by heart, by memory. He already knows the thing. Who's he calling?
Great that he's such an absent-minded idiot that he manages to give away his own name, and then Eddie, when trying, they've got the plan of use a fake name. Well, my name's Eddie, so I won't use the name Eddie. Yes. I'll use the name Richard.
And it's because he said Richard first. This joke works. If you've never seen a bottom episode before, you still get that's who he's talking about.
I love the detail of Rick does that thing of when he gives his name initially, he sort of slams the phone down and puts his hand over his mouth, which is that thing that kids do. If I could just cram it back in, it didn't happen.
But then the brilliance of obviously Eddie making the same mistake but with his name, then just the overreaction, like, you bloody fool, like, you know, like, this is going to get us in trouble now, like, as if it wasn't already him that had done the mistake.
Yeah. It's all your fault. It's like him blaming Eddie for not bringing the tin opener.
Same logic.
What's the logic with Eddie thinking we could eat like kings if we sorted it out? Does he mean demand a...
Well, yeah, when you're under siege...
You can get demands and stuff.
Usually, if you're any kind of terrorist organisation or whatever, you can make demands. Yeah. But obviously, these are just two shit houses in Hammersmith.
So he said a few sandwiches, 3 different sandwich results. This is probably a quiz question. Avocado and black pudding sounds quite nice to me. That's quite... Nice. Have you had it before?
I've never had it as a sandwich.
Yeah.
I have had avocado with black pudding as part of a very hipster kind of meal. Richie's sandwiches.
Yeah.
Sandwiches has become an iconic Richie quote.
Absolutely. That is how it's pronounced now. It's reminiscent of, and he was doing it first, of Stewie's Will Wheaton. But Richie was doing this in the mid-90s.
Yeah. So I do like the callback to Richie getting the decade wrong again.
Yeah,
the 70s. Now, I guess he has received a lot of blows to the head, so he doesn't really know what year it is.
He's just in his fantasy land the entire time, isn't he?
It's just silly, isn't it? It's so silly that. But I mean, in terms of anything like a niggle, they say throw out the cassette, and they haven't established what they are going to blackmail them with.
Right.
So you do sort of think, well, they must know about this tape, but they haven't said we want to blackmail him with video footage or this video.
That does go with your theory that they're already aware of this. They've had a whole year of, oh fuck,
where is that tape?
It was around Hammersmith
that
it went missing. So keep SAS there on hand for a whole year. I think this is the best bottom end injury.
It's quite literally explosive, isn't it? Like with the blood packs.
So is it the heart burst at the end?
It's really... I remember when I watched it when I was 11 or whatever age I was, 11, 12, like I remember feeling really sad after that episode finished, because although it's cartoon and you can tell it's blood packs, like you do think, oh, they've killed them. It's really brutal.
A friend of mine was watching that with me. Well, I'd seen it a couple of times, and they was like, oh no, it's so sad, I'm so sorry. He said to me, oh, they've died. I'm like, no, they've died in other ones. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's the cartoon element, isn't it? But because it was the end of the 3rd series and I watched it back, obviously it feels very poignant, doesn't it?
I remember at the time hating the fact that they'd been killed. Because I know in this series, they ended the 1st episode with them dying.
Yeah.
But that was a very fantastical hand of God. That doesn't happen in real life. In this one, it felt very real. It was such a violent death. I thought... they're not going to reverse this like they did with the Ferris wheel. Plus the fact that it's the final episode in the series. Yeah. And before this point, before the announcer comes on afterwards and says, Bottom will return or something like that, I remember thinking, oh no, please don't let this be it.
Of course, this wasn't the last one because they then showed Bottoms Out after it, didn't they?
Yeah, but that would have been previously recorded.
I know, but as a kid I didn't understand.
Yeah. But now I do look at it and think, this is a very cool and probably quite appropriate ending for them. Like, Rick and Aid love ending on like a big thing, literally explosive, and in this they're squibbed up, they've got blood packs. It's a fairly impressive stunt. You've got the SAS guys coming in through the roof and through windows and stuff, smashing through a door.
Come down on a bungee and stuff.
Not a bungee. He comes through, doesn't he? On the rope.
The guy who comes from above on, what do they call, like a rappel line or something like that? Yeah. It's very impressive. I think you've got 5 guys at the end, all with machine guns.
Yeah, it's really quite like. I mean, obviously it's a BBC sitcom, but when I first watched it, it was definitely quite shocking because obviously you've got the Go A Squad and then Rick's shouting, "Go A Squad," and then
another reason this isn't a two-hander because all of them as well.
Oh yeah.
They haven't got any lines, have they?
This is
the Prime Minister as well.
This is
he's in it.
This is the kind of ending you'd normally get in a drama or something very serious like Blake 7 ends with everyone dying. But this is a primetime BBC sitcom. How are we going to end it? The SS will come in and gun them to death, which will show very viscerally and visually with blood popping off and their hearts exploding as bullets ricochet through them. And
again, we've said before how they wrote it as if it was a stage play, really. Yeah. And then again, they have to get their comeuppance, don't they? Because obviously they can't blackmail. They can't win. Yeah. They're not going to win. And what would happen if you tried to blackmail the Prime Minister with a sex tape? Yeah. Actually, now I don't know whether the SAS would come in, or whether we'd all just have a good old laugh.
So as an ending to the series, how do you feel? Very appropriate? The best kind of ending they could have had?
Yeah. In terms of cartoon violence and the build that they build tension throughout, from the moment that you realise what the sex tape is through to them saying, right, we're going to blackmail them. There's tension being built, isn't there? And then obviously it happens quite quickly in terms of from when they get to there to them literally bursting in to shoot them.
It's a very simple plot, really, and it's weird, isn't it? That a lot of their best episodes have the simplest plots.
Absolutely.
Like With Now and I, that sort of thing. It's just about the character and the banter between the two.
their relationship that as it plays out, isn't it?
So obviously that ending with them being shot marked the end of Series 3. Now, Matt, you remember the announcer afterwards promising something, don't you?
No, well, actually, it was... They then showed Bottoms Out after, and the announcer promised something at the end of that.
Okay.
So not quite what you're saying, but what you're saying is, at the end of what was perceived as the last episode of Series 3, the announcer over the credits said Rick and Aid will be back next year with a new series of Bottom, which never fucking happened because of politics at the BBC. There's something, they got a new head of comedy who had a dislike of the two of them, just thought it was a bit crude and it wasn't to the
I mean,
taste.
let's face it, Alan Yentob thought the same thing before Bottom even got aired, didn't it? They were trying to like get all the wanking jokes cut out of it and all that. As Ed By told us, they had to cut out all kinds of stuff.
It's not a new series. It's something that's been proved to work, that has a fan base. So if you're not a fan of it, it doesn't make it any difference. You really
see the potential in the fact that there are fans that would like more of this.
And they had a lot of material still to go. Their well had not run dry yet.
That's why they did the live shows.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, in TV, whenever a new commissioner comes in, they feel they have to stamp their mark on things. So they'll do this through a combination of not recommissioning things that other people have commissioned and commissioning new stuff because they feel they have to come in and be a...
Put their stamp on the...
a fresh broom sweeping away stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, and this was, they had 3 series, and at that point, actually, like, BBC series, they don't run in
normally
the
2
same
series,
way, do they? Yeah. So you've had your 3 series, that's your lot. Like, you can see, I mean, I don't agree with the decision, but you can see why perhaps that decision was made, but it's definitely unfair.
And this is before the internet, so do you just... there is a new series coming, I know there is.
That's
I remember.
That's really odd that the announcer would have said that, because I don't have any recollection of that. Either I didn't see it go out, or we turned over. But I always watch the credits, so I don't know.
I'd love it if someone had a recording of when it went out at the time, so they could have...
Okay, if you do have it, put it on YouTube and send us the link, or just send us the tape, or invite us around your house.
Send us the recording and we'll put it on our YouTube channel and garner likes from it. So let's do sound effects. For me, dart being pulled out of the eye.
Yeah.
Some sort of pluck noise, isn't it?
Yeah, and there was that brief sort of splashy sound of Eddie shitting himself, the one they've used before in other episodes.
Yes, it's definitely been a shit your pants thing before, hasn't it? I like that a lot. I mean, it's not really a sound effect, but the guns coming through before the colander,
sure,
so really quite convincing.
So what's the colander mean? Because there's been holes.
Yeah, there's holes all over.
I see. Yeah,
like a colander.
The crunching noise of the tea being peeled off the table.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
didn't really think about that. Yeah.
Because it's
very
stuck
bottom.
to it. Yeah.
And isn't there a sound effect when Richie does come out of the toilet? There's sort of a squelching as his hair's dragged, as his head's kind of squelched and dragged out of the toilet. And that's quite satisfying.
All right, so this the sound effect itself isn't the funny bit; it's the timing of Fatih Amal bribing the fireman to not put out
the siren.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that they
come? And they're off again. Yeah. That's a sound joke, really.
Okay. Yeah, and there's quite a few actually during the Carnival / riot, isn't there? Like the window smashing and things.
Yeah, but they're not inherently funny sound effects. It's all helped
the dialogue.
With the dialogue, isn't it? Yeah. So it's not quite what you're asking, but
any others, or is that it? Or standout moments?
Standout moment. So
Rick's
for me,
fall down the stairs for me.
The fall down the stairs. I think the entire opening Carnival sequence. I think they really paint a great picture. His fall down the stairs as Kilroy, and best bit for me is the commitment of Aid setting fire to himself. Yeah, like that whole bit, doing it in one take, jumping through the conservatory, fantastic.
Yeah. And also the Marjorie. And the name Marjorie as well. I mean, Little Britain steal it later as a joke name, don't they? But like then the double sort of handed swing from Rick before he throws the dart.
Good aim.
Yeah.
Turns out, well, not for the first time, but I love the fact because it's the second take. Yes, because he knows a dart's coming towards him.
Yeah, but the writing in this episode is as good as Series 2 or Series 1.
It's a very bottom episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very, very much. Doesn't feel out of place at all.
It definitely could sit in Series 2, I think, but I'm glad that it rounds off Series 3 because there are definitely lower points in Series 3. Still, Bottom's our favourite show.
Yeah.
And even shit Series 3 is better than a lot of other sitcoms.
Series 3 has some peaks and troughs, but it starts and ends on highs.
Yes, it does. Well, did you notice as well, the set is lit better this episode, I think. It's not as bright as
it doesn't
always
seem
is.
like false studio lighting. And yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? Thinking about it, the fact that I didn't notice anything lighting-wise means that they did their job.
But it's playing out at night, isn't it, I suppose?
Well, it's over a whole year, isn't it? So there's a few different things.
Those cutaways are... But
even those, I mean, like the grimy fridge and stuff, it looks better when it's not bright daylight.
Yeah.
I think we've got used to the set as well by the time this episode starts, because there is still a lot of busyness going on in the background that hasn't been there previously.
Yeah, I feel like the set was dressed better in this episode than it had been in previous ones. Like there was more shit in the background.
Yeah.
Like Ed By said, more shit.
Yes.
More stuff.
Just make it look, because it was really sparse in other ones, wasn't it? Like nothing on the bookshelves, whereas there's loads of stuff, loads of stuff in the background.
So, any particular niggles? I will say for me, I don't like the fact that they died and never came back on television.
Yes, that's the biggest niggle, that they finished it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of we've said, I think at the top of the episode we said there's not really much of a plot. I mean, there is a plot, isn't there? Like, they go out, they go looting, I mean, they try and blackmail the Prime Minister. That's actually quite a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But niggles-wise, I suppose the only thing I could possibly pluck out is what I've already said in terms of they don't say we've got a tape that we want to blackmail him with, and the SAS say throw out the cassette.
I guess my niggle, similar to what you said, is that they didn't know this was the last episode, because I can only imagine they would have done something special. It is a good episode, but it doesn't feel like an ending despite them dying, because they've died before.
If they'd known the BBC wasn't going to commission another series, Hammersmith would have gone up in a nuclear explosion or something like that.
Yeah, well, of course, with the Semtex and everything in the live shows, they go there, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is an explosive ending. Like, it does feel so very, very stark.
There's not much blood in Bottom, really, with a show that's that violent. There's not many instances of seeing blood, is there? Well, let's think about them. There's him getting his finger cut off.
Yep.
A lot of blood there.
Yeah.
There's Eddie's legs being cut off. There's a little bit of blood
and the
there.
slitting of the wrist.
Slitting of the wrist is a bit more.
Yeah.
And then
Richie's got a nosebleed when Eddie says only women bleed in the finger.
Richie has a nosebleed down his Father Christmas beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's loads of times. What am I talking about?
But somehow doesn't seem as brutal as the end of this episode.
Being shot and the squibs.
So Roger Cobberbobby getting it right in the face.
Oh, and that, I think I said at the time, that scene does make me... I'm not often squeamish, but all the blood in that episode does. I'm not squeamish at the end of Carnival. I'm just... It's sad. It is quite sad that they've literally brutally, gunned down in their own home.
Yeah, but they did deserve it, I guess, in a sort of way.
They're only trying to...
To be honest, they could have just been arrested. They weren't violent. They would have just pointed the guns at them. They put their hands up. They should have been arrested.
I mean,
actually,
the shoot to kill kind of order. I think they'd have had. I think now it wouldn't have happened, would it? Because there'd have been way too many questions.
People think Tony Blair is, should be done for war crimes, but this just proves that John Major has blood on his hands.
Yeah, sure.
And is a murderer.
So I read it as he's sent in the kill squad because he's had the VCR dropped on his head. The negotiator,
he can't be honest. I'll fucking go away squad. Yeah.
Either he's taken that as an attack, or just like these cunts have annoyed me.
All right, it's time for the quiz. Carnival, what sphincter noises have you chosen, boys?
I'll be going with squeeze fart.
I'm going to be going with wet fart.
Nice.
Just follow through, innit?
It is a follow through. Yeah. Okay, right. So as usual, wait until I say your names. First to answer the most questions out of 10. Mm-hmm. Right. Number 1. Which children's TV character have the primary school put on their float?
Postman Pat.
That is correct. Question 2. Which 2 items does Richie lament potentially missing Sophie Grigson handling? That's you,
Didn't
Paul.
even understand the question. What does lament mean?
I understand the question.
Okay, regret.
Okay.
So the 2 items are a banana and a cucumber, specifically washing a cucumber and peeling a banana.
That's correct.
Which is a euphemism for masturbating.
Yeah. Well, she wouldn't be masturbating. She'd be handling someone else's penis.
Okay. He's watching it. Isn't he?
Oh, he'd be masturbating.
She does a cookery program, or she did a cookery program.
She's a TV chef.
Okay.
So that's 1 apiece. Didn't mean the banana or the cucumber. Right. Question number 3. Which part of Eddie's anatomy is the police baton playing Merry Hell with? Oh, I think that was actually just Matt. Liver. That is correct.
Playing Merry Hell with it.
Yeah.
Yes, because the side handle.
Mm-hmm. How did he get up there? Did he just tear a side bit of his bum? Yeah.
Nasty. Right, okay, so that's 2 to Matt, 1 to Paul. Question number 4. In which establishment does Eddie remark on a fight breaking out during the old biddies conversation? That's Paul.
Laura Ashley. No?
I'm afraid that's incorrect.
I don't know.
Was it Debenhams?
It's the semolina you like.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yes.
What's that? What's the is that a
It's
shop
a,
then?
it's a pun on the spud you like, isn't it?
Yeah. Or spudulike, as Victoria Wood calls it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fight in the semolina you like. Okay. All right. So no one got that. So question number 5. Now, don't buzz in too soon. Well, it's 2-part answer that I want from this. So question number 5. How many cases of Malibu were stolen from the flat? I'm looking for the cases that they have both downstairs and upstairs. 2 separate answers is fine rather than a total. I think it was Paul.
78 downstairs, 36 upstairs.
Okay.
Can you have a go, Matt?
Right, well, I'm going to go with 79 downstairs and one more than he said the other one.
Okay,
I know it's more than that.
Are you looking for an exact amount? Yeah?
I was looking for an exact amount.
I know it's more than that because it's in the hundreds
Yeah.
downstairs, but I don't know.
Okay. So neither of you got it. It's 156
Fucking hell.
downstairs,
Right.
and then 36 you were correct
Right,
on
okay.
upstairs.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, it's 2
But-
sixes.
But it's the thing, it's like 136 bottles of Malibu. No, 136 cases of
Yeah.
Malibu.
Which would have had like, what, 12 bottles in each at
Yeah.
least?
I guess so, and that will
24?
see him through to the weekend. So at the very, if it was Monday, that's still unfeasible.
Yeah.
Like, amazing, isn't it?
How quick in miles per hour would he have to drink them?
All right, so that's still 2 to Matt, 1 to Paul,
Okay.
and we're on question number 7. On the video machine, what is the brand? What is the brand make of the video machine? That's Paul.
I'll go with JVC.
I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Damn it.
Do you want to have a guess, Matt?
Toshiba?
No, it's Orion.
Oh, fuck!
I remember that, 'cause
I
it
remember.
used to
Sorry,
be
on the
a
side of the box.
big-
Yeah.
It used to be a production company as
Yeah,
well.
sorry, I do remember that. Yeah.
What bottle can be seen on top of the television whilst Eddie's fixing the video? Or I think that might
was
be Paul.
It was Paul.
It was a brown sauce.
It is Daddy.
Yeah.
Not Daddy.
No,
it's
it's
HP.
It was HP.
HP brown sauce.
Do you guys know? So, the initial question, this is for the viewers at home. Do you know what HP sauce stands for?
Houses of Parliament.
It does.
yeah.
Because when you think, does it? And then there's House of Parliament in the background.
Yeah, I only
It
knew
was
that
a
when she
relish
showed it.
that they had.
Yeah.
I don't know whether commissioned or whatever, but that's what they had, so that's why it's the Houses of Parliament.
The original gentleman's relish.
So said John Major. Leading us nicely into question number 9. The Prime Minister at the time of Bottom Carnival was John Major, of course. During which years was he in office as Prime Minister? That's Paul.
90 to 97.
Yes, that is correct.
So how many terms did he get? 2?
Yeah, because they called an early election in 97.
All right, so Paul stomped into the lead there with 3. Matt's on 2. So question number 10 will either equalise or
Ooh.
Paul will steal it. So, what sandwich flavours and quantities
Fucking
does
hell.
Eddie demand from the SAS?
No, I kind of half remember it, but I would not know again.
All right, so there was the avocado and black pudding.
With there's some, he says something. So I'm not stealing.
So
answers.
how
He says
many of that?
something like he says white and
Half a
red
dozen.
sauce or something.
Half a dozen? No?
No.
All right,
Did
okay.
did you notice he says something like white and red and ketchup or something? But he says
He
the
does.
word white. What's
So
that
are
mean?
you
Does he mean black-
you're abandoning this question?
But does he mean black pudding and white pudding?
See, I've often wondered that myself. So
Yeah.
it's 3 egg, 2 crab paste, 1 avocado and black pudding with white and tomato ketchup.
I like not even egg mayonnaise, egg.
With,
So it's like an egg butter.
with white
thing.
and tomato ketchup.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Okay.
But I think he probably means
black pudding and white pudding.
either white pudding
He's fucked the line
or
up.
he's
Yeah.
with white and tomato ketchup is how he
Yeah.
delivers it. But anyway,
Because he's like white ketchup and tomato ketchup.
Right.
so
Why-
neither of you got that, which
Right.
means Paul's the winner at 3-2.
Thank you very
okay.
much.
Yeah,
I will
do you
say-
want
right.
for a bit of fun the bonus?
Yes.
question?
Yes,
Go on.
please.
So the bonus question was simply which politicians are named in the show.
Oh yeah, so it's Kenneth Clark and I pronounce this badly, but John
John
John Selwyn Gummer.
That was
Yes.
a quiz question on the bottom quiz that we met Ange on.
Yeah.
the John Bot, because there
John
was a
Selwyn
bunch.
Gunner.
Yeah,
He was the picture round, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right. She had a bunch
Yeah.
of pictures of people. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but then just through context, I'm like, I bet it's something like this.
Yeah.
Where you won a bottle of Malibu and I won a frying pan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a miniature bottle of
Do you
Malibu.
use it?
I still use it now. Yeah.
I've still got the bottle of
Do you
Malibu.
know, I've still got 3 little bottles of Malibu in there, which we
Yeah.
can crack open after we finish recording this.
I think we should.
Yeah. Well done. So Paul won that one.
Thank you.
So we will have to count them all up, but we're going to do so after we finish the live shows.
Yes.
And, of course, the film.
Yeah.
Guest House Paradiso / The Bottom movie.
Sure. So that's the end of series 3 of Bottom and of Talking Bottom.
We have finished Talking Bottom in terms of the series.
Yeah.
If you've got any comments, questions, or reviews to give us, you can find us at Talking Bottom on all of the social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can give us an email at 11mathekingparade@gmail.com.
Cool. So
We'd
we'll
love
be-
to hear from you.
So series 4 of Talking Bottom will be consisting of just the special stuff,
Yeah.
lives, the comic strip presents, and maybe end with the young ones or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at other work Rick and Aid have done, aren't we? And,
Yeah.
and put our analytical brains to it.
And do our best to wring as much fun out of it as possible. You know what, right? Rewatching those 18 episodes and so far the live show has reminded me why I love the show so much.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
And that's why we wanted to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we lost Rick Mail 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I was doing my quiz and all that sort of thing. And then hearing feedback from people just saying it's made them re-watch Bottom
Yeah, it's lovely,
is
isn't it?
all that we wanted. We didn't in any way do
Yeah.
this for any other reason than just so that we can have a nice conversation about our favourite sitcom and that other people might enjoy it as well. You meet people now still that like who's Rick Mail, who's that, and that just baffles me. So the most that we can do is obviously talk to other fans and maybe get other people on board.
If you want to share the love of the show, do listen to Talking Bottom and if possible share it. But if you've got a friend who's never seen Bottom before, sit down with them and watch an episode.
And why are you friends with them?
Yeah.
But that's it. They need to be turned towards the light. I
mean,
I genuinely think that if someone watches 3 or more episodes, then they would have to fall in love with it. I remember my nephew, so he's now 13, but I was very much like, he needs to watch this at the age of 8.
Right.
All his review was, it's mad. Yes, it is. But he liked it. And he liked Drop Dead Fred as well. Like, just Rick.
So it's on. They're all on Netflix, I think.
They are, yeah.
They're easy to watch.
Yeah.
So they're easy to find, I mean.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening. And we will be back with Bottom Live 2.
Mm-hmm.
See you
Don't know when, but...
See you next time.